Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to take a look at a knife that I really wanted to like, but turned out I couldn't get it to keep an edge. And well, just make a long story short, we'll do a little bit of testing, talk about the pros and cons, and with that, reset the camera. We get right into it. This is SCHF 57. There for a while, this little guy was my E.D.C for the small fixed blade. Pretty chunky little guy on the spine, good taper, coming into a semi-hollow grind, a little bit beefier than an actual hollow grind though, so it made it pretty tough. Nice little handle on it. I could just squeeze my pinky if I kind of force my hand in there, but for the most part, it is a 3-finger fixed blade. And the reason I really liked this one was its blade length and everything. This was actually, as far as the rules of where I used to work, it was legal to carry just because of the blade length, which, grab my tape measure for you guys. We'll do overall and the blade length itself. All right, we are at 6 1/4 overall. Our cutting edge, actually we'll do it clear to the handle scales. It is just over 2.5 inches, like 2.7, not even 7.5. That'd be 3/4. It's under that. So this thing was, I do believe, was under 3 inches. Was the deal with the knives. Oh, the spine. That balanced on there, right at the edge. A little dark out. Don't got enough light here, guys. Can't tell if I'm on the edge. It's close to 3/8. But the sheath, real quick, guys. This was their basic thermoplastic sheath. Now, this is just a tech lock that came off of some knife I had a tech lock on. And I just took it off, threw it on this thing, kind of placeholder deal. This had actually, I took the belt loop that was on this one, and it's actually currently on my new small everyday fixed blade carry. And I guess it's good that I got that out for comparison. Let's not get the tips hitting each other. They're pretty comparable. The E.D.C has a little bit more of a cutting edge to it. This, not a whole lot. The blade's definitely a little bit wider on the E.D.C. Handle's a lot thicker too. But, I've been wanting a good smaller E.D.C fixed blade, because depending on what my day consists of, versus am I going to be running around in the woods, or am I intentionally going out there camping, doing skills or whatnot, sometimes I want the smaller fixed blade. Now this one, I think I actually got 4 of these, by the way, 3 or 4 of them. And the reason was that the edge holding on these was abysmal. And the review I watched, and I'm not going to mention names because I'm not trying to throw shade, he just may have got one that did. Now, he was saying his was holding the edge just fine. And I was like, man, that's perfect. And these things were really affordable. They were good in the price range. So, like I said, I got my first one, and I think out of the 3 or 4 I got, I had only one that was slightly better than the others, which is the one I'm holding now. As you can tell by all the scuffing and stuff, I've used this a lot. I've batoned this thing through all kinds of wood. Now, I will say this about it. This thing can absolutely take a beating. It's just that it won't hold the edge very long, which is the disappointing part. But outside that, and this will probably eventually live on, in a manner of speaking, because I may make my own out of this 5160 right here beside me, and I'll make it the exact dimensions. That way I can still use the sheath. Now the sheath has, it's not actual Kydex, but locks in good. And every one of these I've had, you can sit here and do this till your arm goes numb, and that knife will not come out of that sheath. I don't know, over time, constantly drawing it in, out, in, out, in, out over many, many, many years, it probably loosen up. But that's the deal. You can take a heat gun, a little bit of pressure on these things, and you could probably bring it right back. Back to this knife. And let's grab a piece of wood. Normally I do a reset here, but let's just go ahead and get to it. Now, the only thing I did to this before I brought it up here was check to see if the edge was stropped up from one previous time I'd used it, and it feels like it's somewhat been honed out. So what I'll do is I'll probably cut a little bit here, and then I'll may strop this on my belt real quick, but we'll see. I may not, but if I do, I'll let you guys know. I'll actually show you. So we're just going to start out, drop this a little bit more. We're going to do our usual here. We'll see if we can't get us a little bit of feather action going on. Try to get this a little bit better angle for you guys. Oop, I had it, but I cut them right off. And this knife is actually fairly comfortable in the hand. I don't get no hot spots. It's really a pleasure to use, which is a shame that it wouldn't hold its edge very well. But I'll say this: even despite that, like I said, I always carry. I got a much smoother whetstone in my shirt pocket, and I've got the diamond impregnated sharpener on my belt loop, and of course my leather belt for stropping. So I did carry this anyway because I had the means to keep the edge up on it. But yeah, see, not a problem there. It actually does quite well that. So let's get a little something to kind of carve around. That's kind of a nasty piece of crappy wood. So we'll just kind of get in there, just start kind of hogging out some pieces. So, as you can see, performance-wise, while the edge is fresh, I already feel some dolly compared to just where I ran my finger over it before we started. I can feel it. So my assumption is that the steel is simply too soft. Is the only thing that's wrong with this thing. Let's grab some of this old boot lace laying down here on the floor. All right. Now I expect this to draw through a little rough since what little bit I did do with it there, because it's lost that initial edge. And what I'll do is we'll cut this now. See the difference when I cut this. I'll strap it on my belt, then we'll do it again. Get an idea of the difference. Actually, wasn't super bad. And I'm going to change this up real quick. That's all I'm going to do is simply take my leather belt and I'm going to just draw tight, get a good bit of pressure on this, and then I'm just simply going to strop this blade backwards and forwards on it until I feel. Right now I'm feeling little bits and pieces on this dragging. I can literally kind of feel it dragging into that leather. Now I'm just going to keep doing this till I don't feel that no more on both sides. And again, I do not have any kind of buffing compound on this belt. It's just raw leather. And it's genuine leather too. It's not a faux artificial leather. Okay, I can feel the difference quite a bit now. So we will do this again. Oop. Slight little difference here. Not as much as I was expecting, but whenever you're filming something, things tend to try to make a liar out of you. So this part here is forming decent. Yeah, we're cutting through that. Very little issue. Well, that last two pieces, they caught up on me. All right, real quick, we'll grab that cardboard. We'll cut some cardboard. Cardboard, guys. That's not a clean cut. All right, now real quick, we'll strop it again. All right, I'm going to try to cut off that ragged one I just did. Well, man, I tell you, that wasn't near as good as it should have been either. It's still not a nice clean cut, but you can see it now very well. It's just that little bit of stropping made that much difference, and that's just after a few cuts, which it really shouldn't take that little bit of processing to cause it to dull quite that fast. Now, like I said, it's not like the worst by far. It was just enough where it's like, I just needed that a little bit better for my liking. And like I said, no, when I say stuff like this, understand that this is absolute personal preference. Now, outside that, like I said, I really like the design. The functionality and shape of the knife in general is fantastic. It's actually really comfortable to carry and to wear. To hold and even carry on my person. It's very comfortable. And I can use this for long periods of time, and it doesn't cause strain, hot spots, or fatigues with my hands. Like I said, your hands may differ, depending on, how big your hands are, how tough your skin is, where you got calluses, no calluses, all that stuff does make a difference. But like I said, for just simple, basic knife needs that I need a fixed blade for, it did. Plus, this thing, I was pretty confident in using it to split wood because she is quite thick and this tip is decently sharp. But as you can see, there's still enough meat there to where, this thing is not like some fragile, delicate thing that, you got to be dreading using it kind of rough and it breaking, because I can attest to this at the very least. The toughness factor on this particular knife is pretty high. Now, the hardness factor of the cutting edge is much to be desired. Now, can you potentially reheat treat this? Take the handle, slabs off of it, reheat treat it, get it to that hardness you want. You do a little work, clean it back up, and you edge and everything back on it. Yes, you probably could, in fact, do that. But after a while, you kind of don't want to have to dress up every freaking knife you buy, especially when you got a lot of them. It's like, man, you want to at least try to get something from the factory that works as it says on the tin. Like I said, this is not a horrible knife. Now, I don't know if they even still have these for sale, because I got these off Amazon when I was getting them. And there's somewhat of a series of knives that were in this vein, and I've got, let's see, uh, 1, 2, 3, counting this one, 4 different types out of that. And to my knowledge, the company had stopped making them. However, like I said, you're taking a risk getting anything now because all their manufacturers switched from Taiwan to China, and there is some legitimate issues with manufacturing processes in China right now. Some of the stuff that I've been watching other content creators doing tests on, Joe X being one of them, some machetes and stuff, comparing them to the original manufactured Taiwan versus China. There's a significant difference in the quality of the materials being used and how they're processed. So keep that in mind when you're looking in or you're buying knives that are made overseas, which a lot of them, not most of them are. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they're all junk, because I found some that aren't. Like currently, the one I got on my side, this knife here is made in China, and this is the dreaded D2 steel that everybody used to love when it first came out, but now a lot of people are they're not all about it. They really got a lot of bad things to say about it. But I'll say this: if that D2 steel was done correctly, it's a fantastic steel. So, and I've already used and abused my if and grows to the point where it's almost insanity that they can withstand what they can withstand for the price that I had to pay out of pocket for them. I think this is like $22 for the 124 here. Make sure I told you the number right. The EF 121. Sorry, EF 121, the D2 steel. They got a good balance of toughness and hardness with this D2, and like I said, it's virtually starting to become my favorite knife steel for a stainless is the DC 53 from E.D.C. It's amazing. I can't put it through torture test after torture test and do stress test videos with it that is tantamount to trying to break the knife on purpose and it go through a flying colors and not even really dull it at all, let alone damage it. So, as we speak, each company that does their knives and all that stuff overseas and in China, they're not all the same. And there was a time when I thought there was, but I've been re-educated on that. And I'll have to say this too. I'd like to thank Gruggs again very much for introducing me to the Ifengru line of knives, because I was watching a lot of his review videos, and that's when I stumbled across that company. And ever since then, after I had, obviously, I wasn't like completely on board at first, but I bought the knives myself, my own money, did my testings with it. And I'm like, wow, these things are, they're tanks. This, however, it is just got only one flaw. And usually I can find more than one. If I want to be 100% honest, not biased, as much as I really like this little package right here, it's just I think the tempering. That is the only thing wrong with this thing. So with that, guys, I really appreciate your time. All you guys who do take time to watch the videos all the way through, I really appreciate it, because the view time really does help the channel out. And I'm still a little itty bitty tiny channel, and I'm doing my best to try to get it to grow. And without you guys, that can't happen. So I really appreciate your time. In fact, I'll see you all in their video.